Hello and a very warm welcome to our live employer masterclass from the Change in Education Group. This is an opportunity for employers to give you, the students, a real insight into their world of work. My name is Amos Smadra, your host and careers advisor here at the Change in Education Group. Joining me today is Nicki Cluley, who is a corporate fundraiser for Lewis Manning Hospice. Having spent the last decade working in radio in numerous different roles and having run her own media buying agency, last year, Nicki decided to do something very different, and it was quite by accident. She now works as a corporate fundraiser for Lewis Manning Hospice in Poole, where she helps and encourages businesses to raise much needed funds to support the charity. How important does that sound? Nicki, a warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great to have you here. We've got a fantastic audience here. I've been overwhelmed today with the number of messages sent on LinkedIn. Guys, keep your messages coming in. Of course, tag the Change in Education Group, tag myself in, and the hashtag we're using is Inspire Future Leaders. And of course, you can reach us on email, workexperience@changeineducation.co.uk. Lots of really good feedback coming in, and I'm sure after this chat, there'll be more to come as well. So Nicki, thank you again for joining us. Really happy to have you here this afternoon. Could you tell us a little bit about your role and how the past 12 months have been for you?
Yeah, sure. So I am now a corporate fundraiser, as you alluded to, at Lewis Manning Hospice in Poole. My remit is corporate, so I look after lots of businesses locally. Interestingly, you kind of alluded to in the intro that I actually started as a fundraiser just last year. So I actually started in March. So I was in the office for 2 weeks, and then we went into lockdown. And actually this has been an incredibly positive experience for me, because I don't know how to fundraise in any other environment, only in a pandemic. And so for me, I don't know anything different. So it's not, I don't have any barriers or constraints or preconceived ideas. I just know I need to raise money for the charity, and I need to help businesses to do so. So the last year has been actually, I'm really pleased to say, phenomenal for us. Yeah, really, really good year. I know it's been tough for a lot of charities, and we do appreciate that. Our hospice in Poole, the day hospice, has had to be closed, but we've taken some really positive steps to make changes to make it better for our patients. So we run a virtual service now, like a virtual day hospice, and we're able to provide all the treatments that we would have been providing post-pandemic in different ways. So it's just meant that we've had to think really, really differently and be really creative, which is what I love doing, sort of coming up with really fun, creative concepts. So yeah, it's been an interesting year, and I'm at home still, working from home, but I've had I keep calling them real life meetings. I've had some real life meetings this week, which has been great fun. So yeah, it's been an interesting year, but we're kind of taking all the positives out of what's happened for us. So yeah, interesting, but good.
Yeah, and I suppose having worked during a pandemic, there's a sense of urgency, and it's continuing that on with the businesses that you work with, especially when it comes to trying to raise the funds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from my point of view, corporates tend to have a CSR budget, and we're conscious that a lot of businesses have had a tough year this year, but some businesses have actually done really, really well out of this pandemic, and want to do something to give back. So actually it's those businesses that I've been focused on working with. So yeah, it's just a mindset change and just about being quite positive. And I always think what you put out there, you get back. And so we put a lot of positive energy out into the local community and local business community, and they come back to us. So it's great.
I like that. So before we came on air, we were talking about your radio career. You had a big role. Global Radio is a huge brand. A lot of people watching might be thinking, I've never heard of Global Radio. You've listened to their stations, and they've got a huge number of radio stations, from Heart to, I'm sure there's so many others that you could mention to me, Smooth Radio, for instance. Why did you leave Global Radio, and of course Capital as well? Just come to
well done. I love
So,
the knowledge. It's very impressive. Yeah.
so why did you walk away from that? And I know there's a lot of reward that you're getting from what you do now,
Yeah.
but there are people who would feel that that's something to really, want to keep hold of. Why did you walk away from it?
Short answer is I had two small children. So my role at Global, as you kind of mentioned, it was massive. So we did it's Heart, Smooth, Capital, Classic, Radio X, LBC, a huge portfolio of brands. I'd kind of worked my way up there. It's funny because at school, my teachers always told me that I talked too much in my lessons. In radio, everybody talks too much. Like I was just in the exact right place where I needed to be. My remit was sponsorship and promotions director eventually. So I looked after all the sponsorships and really silly, fun, creative promotions across the Southwest. So I'm in Poole and Dorset. So I looked after stations from Poole across to Kent, up to Oxford. I did a lot of meetings up in Leicester Square in London. It was quite showbiz. I got to meet lots of celebrities, lots of parties, great fun. And it was my dream job. I absolutely loved it. It was also incredibly commercial. I had huge targets and sales figures. And whilst I absolutely loved it, it was a big job to do whilst my children were quite small. So, as my life choices changed, I had to make changes to my career. So actually I left Global and set up my own media buying agency. And so I then got to work not just with Global, but with like Bauer, who look after Kiss and Wave 105, locally, and Celador and Nation. So I continued to come up with radio concepts and scripts and jingles and promotions, but on my own terms, rather than having to manage a team of commercial people. I just did it as me, and I worked locally. So I worked with a selection of local businesses to bring their brands to life on air, through the sonic identities. So I did, I guess you can take me out of Global, but you can't take Global out of the girl. I love radio. I still think it's a fantastic medium. And so I do continue to run my own business alongside fundraising because, why did I leave? Because I needed some freedom to be a mummy. But I've been able to continue that and carry on and still work in radio as well as do what I do now.
Yeah, you can't let go of the radio bug, can you? Once that.
No, definitely not. I love it. Yeah.
So, you're still doing that, and of course, the fundraising as well is a huge part of what you're doing. And again, obviously, working with Global, that gave you the opportunity to see what was happening in other areas, which led to you working with Lewis Manning Hospice. How's that gone so far, and what do you aim to achieve from it? How do you connect what you do as a radio buyer, if this makes sense, with what you do with Lewis Manning Hospice?
Yeah, so I mean, throughout the time that I worked in radio, I worked in marketing, I worked in sales, I worked in sponsorship and promotions, and I worked with lots of businesses. It was about me meeting with businesses and them having a need to tell their audiences about what they do, from car dealers to cinemas and hotels and events, so they all had a need, which was to tell people what they do. And what I love more than anything is just going into a room and having a meeting and trying to understand what that business needs to achieve and how I can help them to achieve that, whether that's through radio or helping with their marketing, or now if they've got a CSR budget, or if they want to have some positive PR, how can I do that through the fundraising? So fundamentally, whilst it seems like they're polar opposites, fundraising and radio, they're not, at in the center of it all. Certainly for me, I love dealing with people. I love speaking to people. I love hearing what they've got to say. I love finding out what their businesses do. And I love to know how I can help them to achieve that. I love making connections and links. And so that's what I did in the radio world. And that's what I'm doing now in fundraising. It's just about understanding what people want, what people need, what their businesses needs. And when you align the two, you've got that kind of sweet spot. And that's just what I do. And, you know, in the radio station, it was my job to come up with really bonkers promotions. You know, I'd have like a jeweler who wanted to promote their engagement rings, and you know, when we were like, what how can we do this? Oh, we made a gigantic ice sculpture and ran a competition on guess how long the ice will take to melt. You know, I had a meeting, I sat around a table and discussed the ice sculpture. Like, I don't like boring meetings. Like, I want to be in fun and exciting meetings where ice sculptures are discussed or giveaways. And you know, I loved that fun and energy and creativity. And so that's just translated really nicely across to in fundraising. You know, how can we raise money? What ideas do everyone have? What do people need? What do people want? And how can we get that for them? So I still get to have that sort of creativity and be around a lot of people with great energy and enthusiasm. And so I think they're all really transferable skills. And so they might seem different, but they're just so similar.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, you've found that sweet spot. You've still, you know, you're doing what you did with global, but doing it in a different sector. But you're enjoying everything that you're doing still relates to the things that the skills that you gained with global. At what age did you realize that, you know, when did you realize I've got this gift, and you know, I can use this gift and I can help people with it? I know that there are some people who still think, yeah, you know, I'm not sure what I want to do. I like this and I like other things as well, but I've not quite found that sweet spot like you have.
Yeah.
How can you help our audience?
It's really hard to pinpoint that, because certainly when I was at school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah, I talked too much and I liked sports and I was always in the center of all the sports. And I thought that I wanted, because I loved listening and learning, I thought I wanted to be a teacher. So actually I did my work experience in a school back in the day when you were allowed to like do actual real life work experience. I did my work experience in a school, and interestingly, it was the teachers that put me off becoming a teacher. I remember sitting in the staff room and them saying, what you need to do before you become a teacher is to go out there and get some life experience, like go and work in a commercial environment, understand how corporates work. And if you still want to be a teacher at the end of that, then come back to it and you can bring all of your experience and knowledge into the teaching world. So yeah, I still, when I went to university in Nottingham, and at that point I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew what I liked, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I did English and media studies. I just wanted to do media studies because I liked that, which is interesting, kind of prelude to the radio, I suppose, on reflection. My dad was quite influential. He was like, you need to do an academic subject also, none of that Mickey Mouse media studies, ironically, which became my career. So yeah, I did English and media studies, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. When I left uni, I came out and just no idea what I wanted to do. And I did some temping actually at like a fleet management company. And that just made me realize that is not what I want to do. You know, sometimes I think it's important to define what you don't want to do as well as what you do want to do. And actually that really motivated me to think, what is it that I'm really good at? I actually saw a job advert in the paper, and it was for marketing manager at an attraction, which was Blue Reef Aquarium in Portsmouth. And the job description, it was like they'd written it for me, you know, must be bubbly and outgoing and good at communications and setting up promotions. And I just loved it. And so that was my kind of first entry into marketing. And at that point, I knew that I was good at marketing and communicating. And then I started booking the aquarium onto radio, and that's how I started to make that connection with, actually, I really love what they do on the radio side of things. This is what I'd like to get into. And that's kind of how it happened. So it was very organic. And I wouldn't say that, I don't know that I've ever decided what I wanted to do. It's just happened. It's been like a series of serendipitous occasions that have just meant that I've kind of gone down the right route. I've just trusted in the fact that I'd go wherever I was supposed to go, and I have done, but also just having a positive mindset and energy. You know, when I think, oh, I want to do that, I do. So it's just been nice it's been quite organic. So yeah.
I love your positive energy, and that really does come across. How do you stay motivated on days where things are not quite going according to plan?
How do I stay motivated? I think from the charity perspective, it's really easy to stay motivated because I can absolutely see, you know, I get to work with nurses and carers that are helping people with life-limiting illnesses. And so to know that, you know, you might be having a down or a bad day, but geez, look what they're doing, you know, hats off to them. So it kind of gives you that motivation to know that, you know, what I'm doing now is making such difference to so many people's lives. It's quite inspiring. You know, I know that every day that I get out of bed, no matter who I talk to or what I do, it's going to make a difference to the charity, and that's incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, and that gratitude as well. Looking at, you know, where things are, and things could be worse, you know, could create as well. You talking about being grateful. Why is it, again, I mean, on some days, could you just explain to us the importance of gratitude?
I love gratitude. I actually, interestingly, so every day I think to myself, you know, you've got to be really focused on all the things that you do have. So I'm always very grateful. I take a moment every day to think of all the things that I'm grateful for. I also, every day, I think you can choose your mood. It's down to you to choose your own mood. So, you know, your question, what do you do if you have a down day? Well, that's your own fault. You know, it's your attitude. It's you choosing your mood. You define your day. So I think if you take time to be grateful for all the things that you do have, and sometimes, you know, focus on the things that you do want, I think being grateful helps you to go on that journey of positivity towards where you want to go.
Yeah, and being intentional about it as well,
Absolutely.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, good advice. Tell us a typical day for you. How does your day pan out?
So my days are really random, which I love because I hate routine. I like everything to be really different. So as you know, I've talked about my day. I work with a lot of corporates or a lot of businesses. So I often, yesterday I went to a real life business and met with people to kind of talk with them about what they need to achieve as a business, but also they're trying to fundraise for us. So I would help them to talk around what we need to do to raise money for the charity. You know, there's lots of different, we put on lots of different challenge events. We've got people going on wing walks for us. We've got people skydiving. We've got a fire walk at Bournemouth Pier in September. So it's my job to kind of recruit people into these bonkers activities where they're gonna raise money for us. I had a meeting at Rock Reef this week, so I'm going to do a climbing challenge so people can. This was my idea as well. I was like, people can't go climbing, let's climb at Rock Reef. So we're going to do like a 3 peaks challenge, which I think is 3,000 meters, and teams of 6 are coming together to climb up and down and up and down and up and down in Rock Reef. And you know, it's just about. Yeah, so that was my day. I've had meetings at a corporate business, but it's all about sort of coming up with ideas to help people to raise money for the charity. I've been out this morning. One of my bonkers ideas was, I think, because our logo is a sunflower, so I'm literally on brand all of the time. I really wanted to make some sunflowers, so we did. So we've got our own little branded sunflower packets. So this morning I went and delivered some sunflowers to a corporate. They bought them from us, and they're going to be giving them to all of their own clients to you know, spread some sunshine is what we've called the campaign. So again, you know, it's kind of relating back to that. All these creative ideas that I would work on in radio, that's translated over. How that's going to raise money for the charity, that's come back to this. So my days are bonkers. I never really know what I'm going to be up to. And then I'm here, you know, this is great fun. So yeah, just really varied and different my days are, which is what I enjoy. I need that sort of energy, and I don't like doing just one thing. So for me, it's really good to be working with lots of different businesses and lots of different people, and just constantly changing and constantly coming up with new concepts and ideas just to keep it fresh and energized, because I get bored really quickly if things are boring. boring.
Yeah, very creative. How can that be taught, or is it just something that is innate to you?
Oh goodness, I don't really know. I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, over the years, I've sat in, in meeting rooms and gone, this is the client's objective. What is the most bonkers thing that you can think of that we can do? And actually, I just think it comes from. I would love to, I'd love to throw the challenge to the students. Tell me what you come back with. It is in everybody, I'm sure, to come up with really creative concepts, really fun ways that you can engage whatever your role is. Can it be taught? I don't think it needs to be. I absolutely think, I bet if I said, right, here's your challenge, come up with something bonkers, you would. And it might be just a rehash of something you'd seen when you were younger, or, we've all got it in us to come up with these kind of crazy creative ideas. I think it's in all of us. It's just if you want to utilize it or not.
Yeah, that's the beauty of imagination, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I can imagine.
That's good. I'm pleased.
I can imagine you set time for yourself where you can reflect and be creative. I think sometimes if you've got so much going on, you don't get that space and time, especially if you're overwhelmed and stressed. So being calm, relaxed, does that allow you to be more creative?
Yeah, I probably need to spend more time doing that, because we're quite a high energy family. We like a lot of sports and things. So we went down the beach the weekend and went, not that there was any swell, but we went surfing, and to take time out and just to have some time away now from the house, because we work from here, and to go and have some time. We're really lucky where we live here right by the beach, just to go and take a moment and enjoy the outdoors and to relax. I have to force myself to relax, I must admit, because my mind is so busy all of the time. Like, people say to meditate, and I'm just too easily distracted with that. Like, even in my, if I'm in a quiet room with myself, my head is busy, so maybe I need to do more of that. But yeah, you're right. Taking some time to reflect is always really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the plans for the future?
Okay. I mean, I'm absolutely loving the role at Lewis Manning. It's just given me so much freedom, and I've been able to bring so much from my previous experience to the role. So at the minute, I'm corporate fundraiser. I think now I've sort of seen almost like a bit of a career progression for me within this role. So I think I'd like to grow and expand and explore the opportunities within this charity. I can't help myself when I meet, the nursing team recently told me about a little gap in their market that they wanted to plug. And I just straight away knew who I needed to talk to in the business world to bring the two together. So to know that you can just make those connections and add so much value, that I really, really love that. It's incredibly inspiring, and I'd like to do more of that. So that's kind of where I want to go, explore the opportunities within the charity sector with Lewis Manning.
Yeah, what a privileged place to be in that, as a channel for hospices to businesses, and being able to connect and help them.
Yeah.
I'm sure you sometimes have to pinch yourself when the plan comes together nicely.
Yeah, do you know what? I absolutely love it when a plan comes together. And I don't always necessarily have the exact plan or outcome, just a general belief that something good is going to come of it. And I think if you have that mindset, then it always does come good. So yeah, it's great. Very privileged, you're right.
What final words would you like to leave our audience with?
Oh my goodness, I didn't know I was going to have to say something profound.
No pressure.
Final words, I guess. If you're like me and don't, when I was at school, didn't know what I wanted to do, like, don't worry about that. I know people, that are 40, 45 that still don't know what they want to do, but they've had a really good career. And occasionally in the last 20 years during my career, I've sometimes felt like I was in the wrong place and at the wrong time and doing the wrong role. But with reflection, I've realized that every single role that I did maybe the person that I am today, and the things that I learned from that I've been able to use today. So sometimes you think you've gone down the wrong path, or you've made the wrong choice, you made a mistake. It never is. It's just paving the way to where you're meant to go, wherever that may be. And for me, it's all about the journey, not the end destination. You know, enjoy it, and enjoy being, you know, at school. I miss that.
Yeah, really good advice there. Again, it's about the journey. Success is the journey. It's not the end destination. And I think, you know, you've been aware about the things that have happened for you. You know, you've had those serendipitous moments, and where things have just worked nicely for you, and you're almost just a passenger watching things happen. I can imagine.
Yeah, in some ways, but you know, whilst I do believe you'll go where you want to go, I'm a big believer in putting down your thoughts. So you know, at the beginning of every single year, I set objectives for the whole year. Here are all the things that I want to achieve, whether that's with work, home, personal, fitness goals. I will put them all down, because I think if you've committed something to paper, then you will genuinely do that, whatever that thing is. And whilst I kind of say that, oh yeah, this kind of happened by accident, I had, when I look back at my goals last year, written that I'd probably want to look at doing a role that was going to do something good to put something back. So I had already focused my energy on that, whether I'd done it intentionally or otherwise. I think it's really important to have clear goals, have clear objectives, and then you can review them the following year. And if you haven't done them, pop them on for next year. You know, you're not going to beat yourself up, but the ones that you have had, you find that incredibly satisfying, just knowing that you have achieved what you set out to. Yeah,
that's the power of planning. Really important. And you can do that at any point. It doesn't just have to be on the 31st of December.
That is when I do it, interestingly, like my New Year goals. But then, you know, it's really important that I always, you know, say they need to be specific and measurable, and there needs to be a time frame. So I kind of break them down throughout the year so that they're more manageable. And I do that in my everyday life. You know, I have a list every single day. So every single day I know exactly what I want to achieve, what my goals of the day are, what my objectives are. And I have a list of, I call them my TMIs, which are my most important things, so that I make sure as long as I achieve my TMIs, everything else can go on to the next day. But I like to have a really clear set of goals and stay focused. So whilst I might be a passenger, I certainly write the instructions of where we're going.
Yeah. And I suppose the most important part of that is taking action, the corresponding action to follow that plan ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So you need to be, you know, you need to, if you're going to commit to goals and objectives, you need to deliver on them. I think for your own personal satisfaction, as well as for the satisfaction of your business goals or objectives. Yeah, so that's really important, just to keep that focus.
Excellent. And how can our audience connect with you?
Well, how can you connect with? I'm really happy if anyone wants to email me. You can grab that from these guys. I don't know. LinkedIn.
Are you on social media, or?
If we're on I'm on LinkedIn. So I'm Nicki Cluley on LinkedIn. You'll recognise me because I've got sunflower ears. I'm remaining on brand at all times. Yeah, so LinkedIn would be a great way. I'm really happy for anyone to message me. You know, please feel free to ask questions. I think some people are listening in Poole. Like, if you want to speak to me, I'm really happy to come down. Yeah, so anyway, I'm really happy to talk, and I hope that this has helped. And that, yeah, any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Nicki, thank you so much for taking the time in your busy schedule to sit down with us for this live masterclass session. Hearing your experiences, hearing your stories, it's you know, a great influence, I'm sure, to many of our audience here today. So I just want to say a huge thank you, and I wish you all the best of what you do in the future. So from the Change in Education group and from myself, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good luck, everyone.